Hey there, everybody, and welcome back. Today, we're going to have a look at our third season in charge of Swansea City. The real start of, you know, really getting the backroom staff in place. It was the start of getting some money being spent on facilities, our training facilities, or youth facilities. That needed a lot of work. So, this was the season where what I would like to call the groundwork was put in. This is where everything was set up nicely. So, without further ado, we'll take a look at the games we played and see how the season developed on the field. The friendlies first. We played Swansea, 1-1 draw away from home. That wasn't too bad. It's okay, it's a fitness game. Then, Carrick under 18s, a 5-0 win. We really should be beating them. Not only is it a small club, but also it's a huge chance to get some goals on the scoreboard because it's their under 18 side. Then you've got Newtown. Not a bad game. Again, we should be winning big, and we did, 4-0. Carmarthen Town, 5-0. Really nice so far. Then we head to our first really tough game. Swansea was tough. This was a real test of character. Out in Germany, 5-3 winners. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely mind-boggling. The players played well. The defence got tired. We conceded a few goals, and I think the goalkeeper made a mistake in that one as well. I kind of remember the game quite vividly. It sticks with me. So that was a great result. And then we rounded off by going to Zagreb, and we win 2-1. So a nice bunch of friendlies. A little under a month. But we got 5 wins and a draw, unbeaten. Only conceded in half the games. Conceded less than a goal a game. Scored, on average, I think 2 to 3 goals every game. So that's a great preparation for the season ahead. And we look just at how we tried to carry that forward. So, Premier League, we start off with a win, 4-2 at home to Blackburn. I'd expect to win that game. Nice to get it out of the way. Then you're looking at Man United at Old Trafford. Second game of the season, that's a little tough. But, you've got to go there at some point, and it's never going to be easy. So we just decided we'll try our best anyway. Close defeat, not too bad. Not a kind start, because the next game then was at home to Liverpool, but we got a 3-1 win, which I thought was fantastic. Newcastle at home, also tough, but once again we get the win, 4-1, racking up the goals, taking those goals from Preseason and just throwing them down quite early on. Our second away game, our second away defeat. But after Man United, Chelsea is another very tough team to beat at their ground. So I was quite pleased with the performances. We round off our opening 6 fixtures. Our first away win of the season, Southampton 3-1. Great play. Unfortunately, immediately followed up in October by first back-to-back defeats, starting with the first home defeat, which is 1-0 to Norwich. That was a bit hard to take. 2-0 away to Arsenal. We managed to beat Burnley away from home 2-1. And as you can see, we could only draw with Wolves and then lost at home to Man City. So all that good work we did in the opening 6 games starting to just fade away slightly, and we're scrambling. A very credible 2-all draw at Goodison Park though. Everton a really tough team to play, so happy with that. Then the Welsh derby, Cardiff, we win at their ground 2-1, so all is forgiven. It's a 6-goal thriller against QPR, where we take a point each. Then we invite Villa to come have a go. They also score 3 against us, and you will note this, we've been conceding a lot of goals in this stretch of matches. Not a single clean sheet to date. But that's okay, because we put 6 past Villa to carry on our rise up the table. West Ham, 2-all. A point away from home. But it did mean we needed to start picking up wins. So, Stoke 3-0. And then Spurs 3-1. Great games. West Brom did us 4-2. Unfortunately, but we bounced straight back. Pulled a double over Blackburn. And that was really impressive. From there, we move on to a 0-0 with Liverpool. Lost 1-0 to Newcastle away from home. And then we had a couple of home games to really stamp our authority towards the end of the season. We got Newcastle, which is a 2-0, Southampton's a 2-0 win after the Newcastle loss. Norwich, we managed to get our revenge on 2-1 at their place. Drew at home to United and Arsenal, both 2-all. Back-to-back games. Chelsea unfortunately beat us 3-1, but then we went to the City of Manchester Stadium, pulled off a draw, and that's quite a decent run. And it set us up for only one real tough game in, our last, however many fixtures this is. I think it's the last 10. So, 10 games left. I think we're sitting 4th or 6th, maybe, on goal difference, I think it was. But we had a chance to do something good this season. Wolves away from home, 4-1. Then back-to-back wins at home. 2-0 Burnley, 1-0 Everton. Cardiff come for a visit. Get thrashed 4-0 on our last TV game of the year. QPR, we beat at their ground 2-0. We continue our good away form, 4-1 to Villa. And then 2-0 at home to Stoke, 3-0 over West Ham. We go to Spurs and snatch a last-minute injury time 2-1 winner. And the last game of the season, we complete our phenomenal run of form. West Brom, 3-0 to Liberty, getting a little bit of revenge from the earlier result this season. And we finished out in style. 10 wins in a row. So, that was quite impressive. Following a period of games where we played Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea all at home, and then went away to Man City. 3 draws and a loss in that. But to follow that up with 10 wins, we really finished out the season in style. And as you can see, that has carried us to 3rd place in the league. Again, we have finished some way behind the leaders, as to be expected. But you can see Liverpool down in 9th, Newcastle 7th, Tottenham 6th, Man City 5th, Arsenal 4th. So, there's quite a lot of big clubs there we shouldn't be ahead of, realistically. Just 3 seasons in. What really is key for me is we scored the 3rd highest amount of goals with 83, just one more than Man City, but we also conceded the joint 3rd lowest amount of goals as well. Ourselves and Man United conceded 46, only bettered by Newcastle's 42 in 7th place and the champions Chelsea. So a really healthy goal difference, great point total, 22 wins, 8 draws, 8 losses. Fantastically happy with our performance. Unfortunately, Man United pipped us to 2nd place, and We won our last 10 games. We ran them as close as we could. We couldn't get that second place. But it does open up Champions League football again for next season. So that was key. There's a very important step to take, retaining a Champions League place. Retaining the Champions League place here. Man United, of course, didn't win the title. That goes to Chelsea. Phenomenal performance by them. Well deserved. It was a tough season. So we take a look now at the FA Cup. Not our competition this year at all. 0-0 away from home at Crystal Palace. In the replay, we beat them 3-0. We do enjoy playing at home. And then we went to Elland Road and lost a 7-goal thriller, 4-3. Leeds progressing in that fourth round of the FA Cup. And there wasn't much I could do about that, unfortunately. So we'll take a look at the FA Cup. You can see Leeds, in the next round they got beat by Tottenham, who carried themselves all the way to the final. But it's a good run here. Newcastle beating QPR, Fulham, West Brom, meeting Tottenham in that final. 2-0 winners, so well played them. And then you've got the Capital One Cup, 6-2 at Molineux, really giving Wolves what for. That was fantastic. But in the very next game, we've got Derby, 2-2 away from home, goes to penalties, and we lost the shootout. So, a lot of work to be done in the Cups again, like the first season where we didn't perform. Luckily, this season we've done well in the in the Premiership. We've really let the FA Cup and the Capital One Cup sort of get the better of us. Lower league teams away from home. So we'll have a look at that competition quickly. As you can see, Derby went out to be knocked out by the eventual winners, Chelsea. It would have been a tough game in the next round anyway, but we should have beaten Derby. We didn't. Chelsea beating Sheffield United, then Derby, then Burnley to go to the final. And they beat a Villa side 2-0, who managed to overcome Sunderland, Arsenal and Hull. So you could say that Villa had the toughest route to the final. Chelsea had it pretty easy compared to some sides. But just on the day in the final, Chelsea managed to get their noses ahead, claim the trophy. So that's a nice double for them. Then we go to the Champions League. As I say, this is just the third season in now. We've got our opening game in the Champions League, our first ever game, away to Barcelona. I'm having nightmares about it. I'm trying to think about tactics. I'm thinking about my players. How do I nullify the threat? In the end, we somehow managed to snatch a 1-0 win. Fantastic performance. We really outdid ourselves. And it was probably the most pleasing win of the season. And also one of the most unexpected. We followed that up, topping the group, beating PSG 2-0. And that, fantastic performances. Really, really loved that. The opening two games. Sadly, it wasn't to be. We couldn't keep the run going. Dortmund, their class told out in the end. We had a couple of injuries at this stage, and we played in some really big matches. But Dortmund rose up, elevated their game to a level we couldn't quite match. They took it 2-1. At their place, we got the draw, couldn't quite get the winner. We were hanging on at the end there, to be fair. Barcelona, not wishing to be outdone at all, they also beat us at home. They got a modicum of revenge for our defeat of them. And then we rounded up the group against PSG with a draw. So 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses in a Champions League group that involved PSG, Barcelona and Dortmund. I'm pretty happy with that performance, I've got to say. You can see here, it was Barca and Dortmund that went through. Quite a few big clubs. In the final, Bayern Munich, they beat Porto, they beat Man City, they beat Barcelona. They got themselves into the final with Real Madrid, who overcame AC Milan in the knockout round. Dynamo Kiev, Atletico Madrid, nice derby for them in the semi-final. And then it's a 4-1 win after extra time for Real Madrid. So they lifted the Champions League in the 3rd season. But we'd put our marker down. Those opening 2 group games, I think we laid our marker down and said, we're here, we're not just making up the numbers, and you have got to worry about this in the next few seasons. So that's all the games done. We'll have a quick look at the players we brought in to achieve such lofty performances. We'll start with the transfers in. Early on, nearly £10 million spent on Roma's left back, Jose Angel. We needed quality there, so I splashed the cash. We got some youngsters then. John Brands, he'll be important later on. Josh McEachran, James Ward-Prowse, 2 really good midfield prospects. $5 million for the pair. Aaron Ramsey for 11.75. Ashley Grant is a nice midfielder for £100,000. Another new gen that ends up being hugely important, as was Javier Cirelli, goalkeeper from Boca Juniors, just for £1 million. What else we got here? We got Victor Fisher and Stefano Denswil from Ajax, 4.7 million for the pair. Again, I feel that's pretty good business. Then quite a lot of youngsters splashing a little bit more cash. 3.2 million for a young 17-year-old attacking midfielder, Anas van den Berg. He will go on to be one of the biggest club legends in the history of this game. And then we round out with a cheeky £1 million signing of Rafinha from Barcelona's B team. 48 million spent. And for the first time, we've got a youth team, we've got a reserve team, we've got a strong first 11, and we've got a competitive bench. So really pleased with my moves in the transfer market that season. We can see the Destro deal goes on this page as well as last season. So we don't worry too much about it. Neil Taylor out, so we're making money on our left back, replacing him with someone better for less money. Cornelius out to PSV, made a profit on him. Passer after just a season, £4 million profit, small profit on Neom. Gomez, £1.5 million, a goalkeeper we got on a free transfer last season. Rory Donnelly out for 4.3, that was a huge deal for the youngster. Ben Davis, McKay Stevens, Ki Sung Young, small bits. Hellenius out to Liverpool, 6 million. So we're making money on players we signed last season, basically. Big Ashley Williams, 9.75 to Newcastle. He went on to win the FA Cup, of course. Pablo Hernandez out to Ajax, huge money there. A couple of youngsters start making their way out. De Guzman, we made a profit on him. Casarini, 11 million. That's another free transfer we brought in the season previous. So some free transfers and loan deals going out. Nothing really to worry about towards the end of the season. We did end up releasing Doria, who we did bring in just before the transfer deadline. I believe in January, a season and a half previous. He didn't make it. But all in all, 128 million. It's probably counting the Destro deal, which actually went through the season before. And so we don't count the money twice. I believe in the last video I said we were 30 million in profit when we were actually about 15. I miscalculated one thing. So I think we're about 15 million in profit. We don't count the 27 million there. So it's 101 minus the 48. You're looking at about £53 million profit this season on transfers. So, we're over the £65 million mark. 3 seasons in, we've made on average probably 22 million a season, and that's fantastic progress. We have definitely strengthened the squad. We've strengthened our off the field situation, both staff and facility wise, and we're starting to make some headway in the Champions League. So this was a real basis for success, and I hope you come back and see the Season 4 update, because that is where we break through the glass ceiling. The first 3 seasons have been fantastic, but they're all setting up for the 4th. That's where we make some big moves in the transfer market, and we make some big moves in competitions as well. More headlines, more superstars, more money, and a lot of success in the future. So this is how we set up, and I hope that you'll be around to see where it all goes. So thanks for coming, guys. If you have enjoyed this look back, please leave a comment. If you want to see one of or two of the players, again, leave a comment. This is, I believe, 9 years. Yes, about 9 years in the past. So you'll see an updated picture of them rather than the players they were back then. But if there are anyone that's caught your eye, or you want to know more about any bits and pieces, just leave it in the comments. If you like what you see, give a thumbs up, tweet it, tell your friends. And I hope to see you for the Season 4 update coming very soon. Take care, guys.